Welcome everyone to another episode of the Career Breakthrough Series. I'm your host Paul Ames, and if you haven't already, please don't forget to subscribe to the show to stay up to date with the latest episodes coming out each week by checking out the subscribe button below. I'm so excited to bring today's guest to you. So this episode 27, I'm bringing to you Heidi Anderson. So Heidi is a hit breakfast show presenter on the hit 92.9 radio station here in Perth. Heidi is also a contributor to Perth Now as a columnist and also writes for the hit site Mamamia. As well as this, Heidi has created her own website called therealheidi.com, which has over 1,200 views per week. Heidi has also been on the hit reality show Big Brother back in 2013 and nominated for Cosmo's Woman of the Year for radio category. Heidi is such an incredible person, and in our interview we go really deep on some of the issues that Heidi's really struggled with and how she successfully worked through these. This is such an amazing and powerful episode, and I'm sure you guys are going to get a lot from it. So let's get started on the interview. Guys, welcome to episode 27 of the Career Breakthrough Series. I'm your host Paul Ames, and on the show today I've got a super inspiring guest called Heidi Anderson. Heidi is a breakfast show presenter here in Perth for the hit 92.9. She's been a contestant on the reality show Big Brother, and she's done other incredible things. She's also a columnist or a contributor for Perth Now, and other amazing things, and helping out charity and raising awareness for anxiety. So Heidi, thank you so much for agreeing to be on the show. I'm so honoured to have you on. If you could just give my audience a bit of a background into basically who you are and what your upbringing was like for you growing up.
Who am I? What kind of question is that, oh God, look, my cat just came and got in there.
Sorry, he's bombing out our interview.
She's pretty cool. So who am I? I grew up in Bathurst in New South Wales. I just turned 33. I've been working in breakfast radio with Southern Cross on Stereo since 2011. But I've only been doing the breakfast show, Heidi Will and Woody, since 2013 after I came out of Big Brother. So I worked in radio beforehand, which a lot of people don't realise which there's nothing to be ashamed of if you go from reality TV into breakfast radio, but I like to let everyone know that I worked my butt off beforehand.
Yep, exactly.
Who am I? Yeah, so I grew up in Bathurst in New South Wales. Like a lot of people know that, V8 supercars. And I had a pretty normal upbringing. Like my mum and dad, both super hard workers, really inspirational, both had their own businesses. And I've got a brother who is also very dedicated and passionate about his career choice and a really hard worker as well. He is a historian and just writing his second book.
Oh, wow.
So my mum and dad did pretty good with both of us.
Awesome.
And I just realised, have I cut my head off? Did I have my head?
No, I think you're still in there. It's just cut your sunnies off.
I'm trying to still have a thin face because it's like the angle.
I know, it's always like you're looking down for these things, but it looks good.
But yeah, so does that kind of give you the background, I guess, what you want? Oh, I have a public relations degree, which I did when I finished school, and kind of travelled around for 4.5 years overseas before I got into radio.
Wow, thanks so much for sharing, Heidi. That's amazing. And I'd love to touch on a bit more on how you decided to get into Big Brother. So what sparked you to want to apply for that, and how did you feel when you actually got in?
So it's such a weird story. So would you remember Sarah Marie, like the bum?
Yep. Yeah, yep.
She was on the very first series. I was obsessed with her. I must have been quite young. Anyway, I said after that, every single year, like, oh my God, that's what I want to do. I want to just get on there and tick it off my bucket list.
Yeah.
So I auditioned maybe 4 times from when I was 18, and then I got in 4 years ago. So I was 29. but I decided never to audition ever again when they rejected me the very last time the year before I went in.
Yep.
And I was like, nah, stuff them. They don't know what they're missing out on. And I think because I was always probably a little bit nervous and maybe not fully myself when I auditioned.
Yep.
Anyway, the producers of the show, when I was working in radio in Newcastle, came looking for people. So they came on our breakfast radio show and, said, today we're doing auditions here. And I was like, you guys are shit. This is what you missed out on. You could have had me in the house, blah, 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 blah. Anyway, they said to us, well, we think we've made a mistake. And,
wow.
Yeah, and I was like, oh, okay. And they said, we'd really like you to come down and audition today. And I was like, nah, this is my life now. I don't want to throw away, this opportunity that I have in breakfast radio. Like, I just moved from Bunbury to Newcastle. I was like, I'm living the dream. I just met the guy of my dreams, which is Griffo, who I'm still with. And they were like, no, we really think you should. And when I got down there, they basically put me to round 3 or something. So I missed
nice.
And then I literally had a chat with the guy that day and got through, and I just had a feeling in my stomach, and I knew that I was going to get in from that stage. And then I auditioned a couple of more times, and I just all through the different levels, and I just kept getting through. And then I had a dream that I got into Big Brother, and then it was like 4 weeks later they called me, and I told them that I was really serious with Griffo, but they wanted me to go in single. So it was a really hard decision, but I rang my boss and he was like, get in the house, mate. So that's how it all came about. It was a really cool opportunity, and I'm really glad I did it. The only regret I have is, and I know you shouldn't have regrets, but I wasn't probably open and honest about how I was truly feeling when I was in the house.
Okay.
And that is that I had anxiety, and that's probably because I don't really understand myself either, to be honest.
Yeah.
And I really struggled in there, and struggled when I came out, and then obviously went straight into Perth breakfast radio. And it wasn't until I had a little meltdown last year that it kind of all unraveled. And I just wish I knew myself better and could have understood. And then I would have been open and people would have maybe understood me a little bit better, because I get a bit aggressive when I'm anxious and uncomfortable.
Yep.
So yeah, I just wish that I had that opportunity, but I didn't really know or understand my own mental health then. So.
Wow, thanks for sharing that, Heidi. I really appreciate that. It's funny, one of my previous guests was a round 4 finalist on So You Think You Can Dance in the US. And yeah, he was saying a similar sort of thing. So how did you find it when you were in Big Brother? He was bringing up about a lot of, anxiety and fear he had of being on stage or being in the public eye. How did you find that you handled that with your anxiety? What do you think helped you overcome that from being on Big Brother?
I think because when you're a performer or, in a job like mine, you'll probably find there's a lot of us that have mental health issues.
Yeah. And
it kind of drives us. It's kind of like a catch-22. It's really good for us because I think it's, keeps us going and keeps us, I don't know, I can't even explain it. But then it also can be like a detriment to us and our jobs and everything. But yeah, it was probably the last week in the house that I just really withdrew. And that's the biggest problem with me with my anxiety. I speak a lot. When I'm anxious, I tend not to speak really at all because I have this huge internal battle going on inside, and I'm beating myself up. My mind's racing a million miles an hour, and I have so much judgment and hate on myself. And, that's really hard to express. So I'm trying to be more open and stuff when my mind's racing, and the guys I work with, they're super understanding. So, I reckon it's probably like I said, there's something about it that keeps me going in my job. But, I don't know. I wish that I wish I understood myself better when I was in there.
Yeah, and it's obviously definitely a big learning. And I have to say, Heidi, I'm really proud of you for overcoming that and for openly sharing that. I mean, it's such a thing that so many people just don't share or are afraid to admit. So you should be really proud of yourself.
Oh, thanks, mate. Yeah, it's taken me a while to get there, but I just couldn't live like that any longer.
Definitely.
Yeah.
So, Heidi, just touching on a similar subject there. So what would you say would be some of the biggest mental roadblocks or obstacles that you've had to overcome in your career, and how do you think you've successfully worked through them?
I think it's still the same issue in my career that's a roadblock, and that is my self-esteem and my self-confidence. like a lot of people think, oh my God, she's so confident. She has heaps of self-esteem. And even probably people watching this now will think, oh, what? She has self-esteem issues and confidence issues because I can chat and you know what I mean? I'm not afraid to share my opinion or
Me neither.
or whatever. But I am so worried about what people think.
Yeah.
And, you know, as working in a job like mine in primetime radio, you're in a fishbowl pretty much. And even like, you know, writing a column for like Mamamia Today, who I write for, and Perth Now and everything, like you're just open to criticism, having your profile on social media and, you know, Instagram and having followers and stuff. And so for me, it's been to build tough skin and, you know, tough skin, thick skin, and resilience. And that's something that I still work on. And yeah, like I just want to be a better version of myself than I was yesterday. So I'm always working on stuff, especially like being an anxious person. I'm always trying to find things to fix myself or try new things. But yeah, the biggest thing would be self-confidence and questioning yourself and worrying what people say. So I'm trying not to give a F what people think.
Yeah, that's awesome, Heidi. And I think that what you just said, a key point, just what you touched on is, that's one of the big mottos I try and work by too, because I was quite similar to you. Like, I was bullied a lot in high school and, you know, I was quite a shy, introverted sort of person. And it was only through my own counselling diploma and stuff like that I've really come out of my shell and, you know, really opened up to who I am. So I think progress, not perfection, is definitely the key.
Yeah, and that's something I struggle with as well because I have very black and white thinking sometimes when it comes to that, and I am very much like I'm definitely not a perfectionist. Like I don't need everything around me perfect physically, but the way that I see things sometimes, I see it very black and white and very much like, you know, with perfection. So that is something that I still work and battle with every day as well.
That's awesome. Thanks so much for sharing, Heidi. So I'd love to just touch on, obviously, some of your previous careers that you've done. So you said that you were previously in another breakfast radio station. So I'd love to know what actually led you up to this moment. What are some of the previous careers that you've done and some of the biggest takeaways you think you've learned from those careers?
Like I shared with you earlier, my mum and dad are the hardest workers out that I know of. And so I definitely got my drive off them. And they always taught me, if you want something in life, you go out and get it and you work hard. It doesn't matter what sex you are, who you are, where you're from. If you want something, you can get it by hard work.
For sure.
So I started work when I was 11.
Wow.
At the ice cream parlour in Bathurst. And I used to get paid $4.25 an hour. And then, I know. And a lot of people go, how is that legal? But they had some kind of thing with Bathurst Council or whatever, and they used to be able to employ young people.
Okay.
And then I worked for my mum as well. So I always had a couple of jobs going at once. And then when I finished high school, I had all this money and that I'd saved. And so I went traveling. And then I came back and I was like, what do I do with my life? And that was the time when I was watching Sex and the City and Samantha from Sex and the City. I was like, oh, I want to do public relations. So I decided to do that because I thought it was sexy and I thought she was really cool.
Yeah.
And I wasn't banging as many guys as she was. Boyfriend. So, but I thought the whole lifestyle would be cool. Anyway, when I did it at uni, I was like, oh, it just doesn't really tickle my fancy. And then so I started doing volunteer work at the radio station.
Okay.
Because someone approached me at the pub that I worked at and said that I had a good radio voice. And I was like, oh, wow, I always wanted to do radio, like from when I was younger, when I used to have a fake radio station in my room at home. And, so then it kind of went from there, and I did work experience when I was at uni there. And but then they had a position going and I didn't get it. And this is when I finished uni and I was devastated, and I pretty much was thinking like, fuck you. Oh, am I allowed to swear?
Oh, yeah, go for it.
Well, I was pretty much like, fuck you. You don't know who I am. I would have been so awesome. And like, I thought my shit didn't stink.
Yeah. And
it was that moment that I went, no, I don't even want to do radio. And I went traveling, and I was like only going for a year. And then I came home 4 years later. And in that time I worked in bars and worked in PR. And when I came back, I remember the guys who didn't give me the job were like, Heidi, you have a lot of potential, but we couldn't just give it to you. You need to work hard. And I was like, yeah. And they said, oh, we'll help you try and get into the Australian Film, Television and Radio School. And that's kind of, yeah, I got in from there. And then I had my first job in Warrnambool, writing copy and working in radio there. And then I moved 9 weeks later to Bunbury in Western Australia and did breakfast radio there and did 2 years there, and then Newcastle for 7 months, then Big Brother, and then now here 4 years.
Wow. What was the station you were working at in Bunbury?
Hot FM, baby.
Oh, nice.
And that networks out to Kalgoorlie, Albany, Esperance, like the whole of the southwest.
Oh, wow.
From Perth across down. So that was an amazing experience. I learned so much, and yeah, I wouldn't change it for the world. I didn't even know where Bunbury was. I'd never been to Western Australia. I didn't even Google it. And I got off the plane. My mate picked me up, and we drove down to Bunbury, and it was pretty much the start of my radio career. Like I dabbled in, radio in Warrnambool, but that was probably a very quick job. Yeah.
Oh, awesome. Thanks, Heidi. Thanks for sharing that. So just for any of my audience looking to get into radio or into the media, what would you think would be 3 to 5 actionable tips that could really help them out, either to potentially break into it? I know you've discussed hard work's quite a big one, but what would you think would be 3 to 5 actionable tips for them?
It's such a tough one, because for me, it's not that it's been easy, but I found something that I was really good at.
Yeah.
And I don't feel like I was ever really good at anything in my life until I discovered radio. And I think that's why I have so much pressure on myself to achieve in this position and, one day have a show like Kyle and Jackie O. But one thing I always say to any student, going through WAPA or someone who wants to get into radio is, we can teach you every skill in the book, but we can't teach you passion.
Yeah.
And if you don't have the passion for the radio industry, like I tell you, the people in the industry, radio is in their blood. Definitely. And if you don't have that, you're probably not going to succeed, because we can teach you everything else. And and that doesn't mean that you might not succeed in TV or something else in media or writing or whatever. But you definitely just need that passion. And if you don't have it, I don't think, well, you'll work in radio, but I don't think you'll go as far as what you can.
Definitely.
I also say to everyone as well, like, get to know the people that are around you and above you, and make them your fans, and look for mentors. Look for people. Like, I'm always open for people to email me and ask me questions. I obviously can't help every single person, but I'll give you at least some insight or whatever. So make your connections. Don't be scared, because the reason why I got where I am as well is not just through hard work, but making kick-ass connections.
Yeah.
And I probably learnt that from my PR gig, networking, but also just putting myself out there. And like I said, I wasn't always confident, but fuck it, what did I have to lose?
Exactly right.
I reckon the biggest thing, I'd say do work experience and all that, but they just don't do it in the radio industry anymore.
Yeah.
So working in art, getting into afters, that was real hard to get into, but doing a course like that, and just getting meeting people from the industry and sucking information out of them and utilizing mentors and that kind of thing.
Yeah, definitely. I couldn't agree more with you too. I think that's one of the biggest things. I feel like I'm quite related to you in that way, where, I'm not afraid to reach out to people, and I'm big on building connections. I think relationships are the most important things. And like you said, it's how you were talking about, finding your passion and having such passion for this. I'm the same with, building relationships. I noticed my biggest strength was, helping friends out when they're in trouble or when they needed help. So I've utilized that with my show, and, some of the guests I've had on here like yourself, I'm just blown away with some of the people that I've reached out to and not been afraid to, because I wrote an article recently about this on Influensive, saying that, too many people view these influencers or people who are higher status as up on a pedestal, when I just view everyone the same. You should just look at them as a normal human who's got an amazing experience or story to share. So that's
so true. And I wish I was like that sometimes, because sometimes I still see people and I go, oh my God, they're so they're like amazing. Rah, rah, rah. But definitely. And you know what, the worst that people can say is no.
Yep, exactly.
Like, and I've had people say no to me before, and shit happens. And, you know, like I've had to say no to people as well, but just be open to it. Like I said, I'm always open to hearing from people. And if I can help you, I will, you know?
Exactly.
I just have a little sip of my water.
Yeah, no worries at all. So, Heidi, what do you think would be the best career advice you reckon you've ever received in your life, or something that's really made an impact or a difference in your life?
Should have thought about that one. I think it was probably, like I said, about my mum and dad. And I think you take your parents for granted. Well, I know I have.
Yep,
and
definitely.
growing up, I was kind of like, oh, who are these people? Like, all they do is nag, and, you know, they're good for money. And that's really horrible that I used to think like that when I was a teenager and stuff. But I was just like, wanted to party and be around people and have fun.
Exactly.
But like them, they always said to me, you know, I was never afraid of going out there and putting myself out there with a job, because they always empowered me to believe that if you really want something, you can get it, but you just have to work hard. And,
awesome.
You know, even my dad said to me at Christmas time, which is a massive compliment, I feel a bit egotistical saying it, but he said, you are, Heidi, you are by far, and he's 62, he said, the hardest working person that I've ever met.
Wow. That's amazing.
Yeah, I was like, and that coming from him and my mum, who, like I said, both run their own businesses and have worked so hard over the years.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was a massive compliment, because, yeah, I don't ever stop. And when I do, I literally have to go to Bali and just completely switch off. Because when I'm in Perth or whatever, you know, and a lot of people think we only work like 6 till 9 in the morning. Like, there's a lot of stuff we do behind the scenes, and then I do a lot of stuff on the side as well. So, yeah, I probably reckon it's, if you want something in life, you can have it. You just got to work hard.
Yeah, that's perfect. And what an amazing thing to hear from your dad. I think, you know, like you said, a lot of us don't take the time to stop and reflect on, you know, the person that we are, the person that we've become, and some of the key lessons that your parents have instilled in you.
I know. And it's funny, because just before you called on the Zoom, I was just about to write my mum a letter, because I'm doing that for the radio, that I'm going to read it out to her for Mother's Day.
Oh, nice.
It's true. Like, you don't, I just 100% take them for granted. And, you know, and a lot of the people that I've probably met along the way, like I love to keep in touch with people. That's the kind of person I am. But there are so many people from my history in Bathurst that taught me so much.
Yeah. Just,
you know, my part-time jobs that I did over the years, that I wouldn't probably be where I am today without them as well.
Wow, that's amazing. And such a valuable takeaway from all these people as well.
Exactly.
So Heidi, I've got a bit of a random question here. I like to throw this one at my guests. This is one from solution-focused therapy, which is a style of counselling that I've learned. So It's called the miracle question. So imagine if you went to sleep tonight and overnight a miracle had occurred, and when you woke up the next morning, everything you ever wanted had come true. There were no mental roadblocks and no financial burdens holding you back. What would be something that you'd want to impact on the world, or what would be something you'd like to change, and why would that be so important?
Oh my God, I'm so selfish. Like, my first answer was, I wish I could be if I woke up and was thin, like, maybe everything would be okay, because that's something I always battle with, is body image. I don't know. Like, I guess it would be right now, for me, if I woke up and miracles would happen, it would be that everyone was less judgy online and in the world, and whether that could be saved with a miracle, because that's what I find like our biggest problem today is. Like, I could say world peace, because shit, like, we're, you know, so much is happening with war, like, you know, what's going on with Trump, and I worry about all that kind of stuff, but I'm not very political, so I won't go there. Just be a really Heidi answer. But yeah, it would probably be, that's the thing I find really hard to deal with. So if I had a magic wand, it would be that everyone would stop being so fucking judgmental.
Definitely.
Stop writing and like having these opinions online when it's not even an opinion, it's just an attack.
Yeah. And
saying all these horrible things, because I feel like we would all literally be so much happier, you know? So that, and then it would be to also shit with that, have my like breakfast radio job in Sydney or Melbourne and just be killing it and be really thin.
Yeah. I think that's awesome what you said about the judgment, because I think a lot of that leads into other bigger problems, like you're saying about the wars and stuff like that. A lot of that's probably because of that. So yeah, I think
it's so hard, like, because my brother's a historian, I hear like that's one of his jobs is to literally look up history, and they predict where the wars and everything are going to happen. And it's a really scary time. But like I said, I'm not very well versed on that and I feel like I'm one of those people that should be educated a bit more because I work in the media. But I live in such a little bubble, in my own little bubble. If it doesn't affect me, oh God, look at the cat.
You want to interview a cat? It's got.
Yeah, so I think the judgment thing is where I really struggle. And I think that people are only like that because they are so unhappy with themselves. Do something about it. Change your job if you need to. Lose some weight. Like, I don't know, empower yourself so you don't have to put other people down. And just, if you want to have a little bitch with your friends, do it.
Yep.
But you don't have to do it online, and you don't have to make people feel like shit.
No way, definitely.
Like, I think we all judge, no matter, as much as I try not to, there is sometimes it's your ego and stuff will always go to judge. And most of the time, if I go to judge someone, and I would never troll anyone online, most of the time that I go to judge someone, it's usually if I'm feeling insecure.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Exactly. I think that
I'm going to change it.
I think that's I think that's such a valuable thing you've just shared too. And I think, a lot of the time people, judge and, pick at other people just because of their own insecurities or their own feelings of how they're, what they're experiencing in their life at the moment.
Yeah, exactly. 100%. So yeah, I'd love to change that.
That's awesome, Heidi.
What you're aiming for?
Yep, definitely. It definitely was. Yeah. I just let my guests go with whatever. Like, I find that when I use that in my career counseling, it really just gets people, like, a lot of people have like these limiting beliefs and things that hold them back. So asking a question like that, it gets people to imagine these blocks or anything that's stopping them out of the way, and they can envision their life to what they really want. So it really...
I felt guilty because my first one, and this is the guys that I work with on the radio show, they always say, oh my God, you just live in a little bubble. But I do. The first answer was like, it's all about me. It's all about me. And then I'm like, oh no, this is an opportunity to change the world. Okay, I've got to start thinking about everyone else as well.
Yep. But I think that's the thing. Like, most of us do live in this bubble. We we're not really in tune into what's around us. And I guess, if it's not directly impacting us, the sad reality is that, a lot of us don't care about it, or we're not open to it. So yeah, I can see where you're coming from. It's so true. So Heidi, I know that all of us have got one really positive trait or one really positive habit that really helps us achieve success, or helps us move forward into our life to reach our goals. We've also got one hindering habit or belief that's held us back. What do you think would be one of your biggest positive traits or habits that you've got, and what would be one of your biggest hindering habits?
I think the positive trait would be passion. And is that a trait?
Yeah. I think we'll go with that's a trait. Yeah.
I think so. I'm passionate, maybe.
Yeah. I think it's definitely something that drives you and motivates you. So it's something positive.
Yeah. So that, I think, is passion. Like, I'm passionate for what I do. But that's not just to be successful in radio. That is to actually help people and change people's lives. And that's
awesome.
The awesome position that I can be in my job. And that is what really drives me every day, is that if I can connect with people because I'm passionate about the story that I'm telling, or I'm passionate about, the caller that's called us up that needs help, or I'm passionate about doing something that awesome in society, like doing a self-defense boot camp or whatever for women to empower them, then that drives me and makes me really feel good. And, I feel like I'm on the right path in what the universe has put out in front of me. What hinders me, probably what I said before more than anything, is self-doubt and being insecure and being really critical. And that comes with my anxiety, but also just right into my core, which is stuff that I'm working on now with my psychologist, is self-esteem.
Yep.
So I don't have any self-esteem, and people go, what? Are you fucking serious? But, you know, it's not that I fake it every single day. It's just that I've probably learnt to live with it, and I embrace the things that I know that I'm good at.
Yeah.
But yeah, I have so much negative self-talk, and that is shit. And, you know, that's something that I'm learning to deal with. And I think this is my year though. I'm going to change. I'm really working hard at that. And everything happens for a reason. Like, I had my little breakdown last year with my anxiety, and it never been so bad. 6 weeks of just darkness. I actually now believe was the best thing that ever happened to me, because I then really understood my mental health. I was able to share my story with some, you know, with the whole of Perth, which then that went all around the world. Like, the video went viral. So I believe all that kind of, you know, has made me the person that I am. And I reckon, like I said, this is my year. I'm going to kick some ass.
Definitely is, Heidi. And as I said, I know I said it before, but I think it's amazing that you can openly share that, and you know, realize that you're taking steps to achieve to be a better you, and to overcome some of this stuff. So yeah, kudos to you. Hats off to you. That's awesome, Heidi.
Thank you.
So Heidi, we're just getting ready to wrap up soon, but what would be some of the parting advice that you'd love to share with my audience that you feel has really helped you out in your life, whether that be in your career or, you know, just in your life in general?
I think the main thing that I do is, like, I know that I probably overshare and tell too much. You know, on my Facebook page, I might talk about my vagina or my period, or I don't know. I can't help but overshare, and that is the person that I am.
Yeah.
I'm not telling people that they need to overshare or anything, but the one thing that I know that has helped so many people, and that I believe has really, really helped my mental health, was being open.
Yep.
Knowing that by sharing my story and people opening up and sharing their story, that it will actually help them and change their lives. And I think too many people are too afraid to say, and that's why the suicide rates are as high as they are, the number one killer in Australia. I was sitting having coffee with a couple of blokes the other day. One of them was one of my good friends. Another guy, I just met him for the first time. And I shared about how my brother was having mental health issues. My mum's got mental health issues. I've got mental health issues, and we're all a bit fucked up. And it just was so weird that then every single one of those guys then spoke about how their mental health, the main men in their life, were struggling. And one of them, their father had just attempted suicide. And the other, his brother had. Yeah. And because all of us shared something that's so personal and so taboo, we all were there to support each other, and we're all going through exactly the same thing. Like, strong men in our life were struggling. But because we were open and sharing our stories, I thought that was a really powerful moment, and it made me realize, like, if I didn't bring that up, no one would have spoke about it. And how do we not know that the guy, you know, that I was having coffee with from a friend, that he wasn't struggling so bad that he was going to go home and do something silly, you know?
Exactly.
So, I guess it is that, you know, I'm not telling you to be an overshare and tell everyone what your poo looked like, or I do that as well. You know, or the relationship issues that you're having, but just maybe be a bit more open about if you are struggling. And I think, as much as it's so hard and it's so taboo sometimes to talk about these things that make some people feel really uncomfortable, it's really important for your own health. Because honestly, I have not felt better since I've bloody talked about that I've got anxiety.
I think it's, really powerful advice. I think, I can relate. Like, one of my friends who I used to skateboard with when I was younger, it's funny, I saw him probably a couple of years ago, and he seemed happy. He's always been a really bubbly guy, always had lots of friends, and, you know, always got on really well with people. And then I started seeing missing posters up around Subiaco around for him. And I was like, what's going on? Like, where's Ben? And then I found out that he'd actually killed himself, and they actually found him up at Kings Park a few years ago. And, you know, this is a guy who I found out he had a lot of deep depression and you know, big problems. But on the surface, he looked like such a happy, bubbly guy, had tons and tons of friends. So yeah, I think it's so important to share your story and, you know, realize that there's people there for you and that want to listen and, you know, you can help with your own story and message. So,
oh, that breaks my heart because honestly, there is so many people taking their own lives and it's really fucked.
Definitely.
It's really sad. And I don't know what to do anymore. I know Will on our breakfast show, Heidi, Will and Woody. Oh, here comes the cat again. She's such a smoocher. I hope you don't mind.
Not at all. Not at all. It's awesome.
So Will on our breakfast show, he suffers from depression and he spoke openly about his in the last few months and he's exactly the same. Like, we don't know what to do anymore. And in the position that we are in, we've got some stuff that we're doing behind the scenes because we really, honestly, genuinely, oh God, just as long as she doesn't put it, we want to change like society. We want to save lives. And I really hope that we can make a difference because, yeah, right now it's just out of control.
You definitely are, Heidi. I listen to your show every day. I absolutely love it. And I think you guys, I think that's why I love the personalities you guys have just from hearing you through the radio and openly share like you and is it Will? Yeah, you and Will sharing your message and it's powerful and people want to hear that. That's why I think you guys are so popular as well because the amazing message you guys share and you're always entertaining and it's good to listen to. So. Yeah,
well, we do have a lot of fun as well. We, you know, we get in trouble from our bosses sometimes for having too much fun. But yeah, no, we just all want to. It's funny because when I first started radio with Will and Woody, they definitely didn't see radio like a platform to help and share this kind of stuff.
Yeah.
And it's amazing to see how much they've grown and matured and, you know, and support this kind of stuff over the years, especially now Will's going through his own stuff. I'm really happy that he's opened up and shared about it because I think we can make a difference.
Exactly. Well, Heidi, thank you so much for agreeing to be on the show. I absolutely have loved our interview with you. You're an amazing person and I love, everything you've shared with my audience. It's really valuable and I'm sure they'll get some really great takeaways from it. So I'd just love to find out, obviously, guys, if you want to reach out, have a good listen to hit 92.9. You can hear Heidi's show from 6 till 9. But Heidi, is there anywhere else that my audience can reach out to you, say if they want to connect or just give you a message?
You can check out my website, which is realheidi.com, or you can follow me on Facebook or Instagram, which is Real Heidi as well, which the boys on our radio show give me shit all the time. But you can just hit me up there.
Awesome.
I'm always looking for people to share their stories as well. Like I have a thing on my website called Real People, Real Stories. And it's just kind of basically if people want to write a blog, because sometimes people don't want to write for a newspaper or this or that and don't want to create their own blog. So, and you can too. You're welcome to as well, Paul. But if you just want to ever write for it, it's just a place for people to just share their stuff, share their shit, share their stuff.
Yep. Awesome. That's so cool. Well, keep up the amazing work, Heidi. I really love all the work you're doing and all the charity and everything you're supporting.
Thanks, mate.
Keep being amazing.
You too. And like, you should be really proud at how far you've come, like saying that you went through all that at school and now you're doing this. Like, that's awesome.
Oh, thank you. I appreciate that. It means a lot.
No worries, mate. Well, thanks for having me.
Thanks a lot, Heidi. So guys, stay tuned next week where we've got another incredible guest who's really going to help you push through those barriers in your career. So stay tuned then. If you've loved the content that Heidi shared with us and some of the real and powerful advice she shared, be sure to check out Heidi's website, which is www.realheidi.com, REALHEIDI. Her website will cut through any of the bullshit that a lot of other websites have. It's a place where people can come to laugh, feel inspired, be empowered and uplifted, and even educated. So be sure to check out Heidi's amazing website where she also interviews real people and shares real stories and experiences about herself. Thanks so much again for tuning in, guys. I can't wait to bring to you another episode next week. Take care till then.